Hey, it's been a minute since I did one of these, so I wanted to just do a little blog here, vlog, and talk about some stuff that I'm seeing in streaming. Probably not the first time that this has happened before, but yeah, it's related to a video I did probably a year ago about artists benefiting from getting away from this routine of always checking your numbers. And in particular, I was zeroing in on Spotify and checking your monthly listeners. It's just not helpful. Um, it's not good for your mental health, and it's really not that important. I don't care. Some say it's important. Some artists, whatever. It's not important. I'm happy to say I've gotten out of that situation. I get the email. I get like a monthly email. Here's your numbers. I'll check it. I'll look at it. It even includes my old Proceed profile. But that's not the point here today. It's still related to streaming, and in particular, what I'm getting at is artists that are shooting themselves in the foot. You're probably reading in the news details about this or that CEO, and ads for ice and showing up on these different platforms, and the conflicts of interest, or the it's like voting with your wallet. Do you want to support that? And I get it. I don't pay for any streaming service for music personally. I obviously I do have some streaming services for like movies and TV, and there's some conflicts there for sure. But this is just about music, and what I want to put out there, what I want to assert to any artist that's listening is do not boycott as a artist yourself. Do not boycott these services. You don't have to use them. That's one thing. But don't shoot yourself in the foot by excluding your music from these services. You can find major artists that do that because it's like water off a duck's ass, right? Water off a duck's back. They have their money, they do their tours, they've got their royalties. As an independent artist, it's not even from the viewpoint or standpoint of the music, because we all know we're just getting pennies, fractions of pennies. But it's just stupid from the perspective of listeners, right? You're not going to do yourself any favors by excluding your music or preventing your music from being on these services you don't like yourself. Um, as an alternative, what you can do instead, and this is what I've begun doing, and it's the best of both worlds, personally. I think it's right in the middle. Um, Deprioritize. You can deprioritize the platforms that you care about and that you want your listeners to care about eventually, or ultimately, I guess. Right? And so a good practice for that is pick the platform you like, or the two that you like. Like for me right now, it's Bandcamp and Subvert, which is still in the process of getting going, but I've got a profile down there now. I've got a couple songs on there now. I've got my Stripe set up, my payment system set up there now. So it's looking good. It's making progress. So pick one or two platforms that you champion yourself, and ideally these are platforms that have obviously a different model. So I'm not just saying this is a streaming service that I prefer over that streaming service. Um, this is a entirely different model, one that is rooted, right, in a completely different arrangement, one that is about the music, one that is about artists being paid properly for the music. And there are other services out there. I've run across in the past few years. These are services I've never heard of before, but I think the way that they operate, it's kind of like exclusives and getting music and merch to your core fans, your big fans, your super fans ahead of everybody else. You can find these, you can look them up. Again, I'd never heard of them, never used them, but they're in business, and I think what they do is probably people with decent social media reach, leverage that reach, and get 5% of their fans to head over there and support the music that way. So it's not just limited to a couple sites. There are whatever you feel you want to champion, go with that. Make that your priority. And the second piece to that is you basically just delay your music on the services that you don't like, right? So put your music up, post about it, tell people this is where they can get it, and then let them know minimum 2 weeks, but ideally a month, that a month from now they'll be able to, if they're a streaming user, without mentioning names, what the top 2, top 3 are, that they'll be able to access and listen to the song on that outlet a month from now. That's the best way forward. You're shooting yourself in the foot by just limiting yourself to just the places you want to champion. Champion and highlight the places, and that's part of your expression too, is like letting your fans know this is what helps me the most, and this is where I like to go, and this is why. This is the philosophy behind it, right? Artists get paid properly, music is not disposable, etc. But then also make sure that eventually that music does end up on those places that don't pay you shit. That's the best way forward. I think you're just shooting yourself in the foot. There's really nothing to gain by a total boycott of these services. If enough of us, right, deprioritize the services that are destructive to the music industry and destructive to this whole relationship between fans and musicians and artists, then I think that's going to have a greater impact than just somebody with a very small following boycotting Spotify or Apple Music or whatever. There I go. I mentioned the names. Who cares? So that's really the takeaway here. Deprioritize. Don't boycott. If you're going to boycott with your own dollars, right? Don't use it yourself. But don't alienate your listeners, right? By not having your music on the places that, let's face it, most people go to for music. So that's my take. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you disagree, if you agree, whatever, what your experience is in the comments. And it's a wrap.